Hi everyone, Santina here with EmbodyHER. I am sitting with Miss Becky Falcon, who is, I don't know, just a beautiful human being. She is a high school guidance counselor as well as co-owner of Especially U Events.
Yes, hi. Thank
Hi.
you for having me.
Are you kidding me? I've been wanting you to come on for how long?
Oh, wow. It took me a
Yes.
little bit to
Yes.
answer.
It's okay though. I'm glad that you're
I get
here.
scared. I was a little nervous.
No, that really like surprises me though, because you're just like naturally a people person and you just, I don't know, always just connect with people right away.
There's something about talking into a mic, guys. Give me some grace. I don't know what it is because I talk to most of you a lot. Like, it's not the first time.
No, it's not. That's why I'm like, just we're just hanging out. It's just
Santina
extra
invites
stuff.
me frequently to many things that I say yes to, but this one scared me a little bit.
I love that. Oh, that's great. Look at me getting you outside your comfort
Thank
zone.
you. Thank you. It's a new personal challenge.
It, oh, do we have other personal challenges that we're working
Yes.
through right now?
We'll talk about that. Yeah. We'll talk
Okay.
about that.
Okay.
But
So
yeah.
I do want to talk about a little about being a guidance counselor because you've been doing it a long time now, right?
Yes.
What got you
Since
into that?
so I was in I was an at-risk kid myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? My father died of AIDS when I was 9 years old, and he was
Wow.
in the state prison in Harrisburg. Um, and so my mom was like a single mom, basically, mom and dad. And I decided in seventh grade I had an epiphany. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I wanted to help people. So that was like a new journey for me at that time from 7th grade on through high school, what I was going to do. So I chose to go to college for education. I thought I was going to be a special education teacher. Because over the years in high school, I had worked at the summer like city playgrounds in Lebanon. I'm from New York City, but I grew up in Lebanon, and I thought that I was going to be a teacher. I loved the school system. I was very close to a lot of my teachers. They were great people. And so I thought that's what I was going to do. Well, first I thought I was going to be a registered nurse. Then I took bio down, down that went. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stick to education. Okay, soft science. And so then, I was going to go to school to be a special education teacher. And then my junior year in college, I switched to psychology.
Mm.
And I knew late college that I wanted to be in counseling therapy of some sort. So that's what led me. After college, I worked at the detention center, became a probation officer for Lancaster City Drug Court. Loved what I did. But then with having children, by the time I got home and was with them, I was with them for like an hour and a half before they had to get ready to go to bed. Then I decided to shift my focus to doing counseling in the school system so I can have their schedule. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I became a school counselor.
Oh,
And I've been
wow.
doing that since 2009.
That's amazing. Wow. I don't think I knew some of that actually. So I love this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. But you work with older kids, right?
Yeah, I'm a high school counselor.
Okay. Always have been a high school counselor?
Yes.
What made you go to that age group though?
Um, Now, in the middle of me getting my master's degree, I was already working at that time. I got a job as a school counselor in an alternative education setting. And they switched the training, like the state switched the training in the middle of getting my master's that I had to have experience kindergarten through 12th grade. So I got that through my program, but I was still attracted to working with adolescents
Mm-hmm.
because when I was working as a drug court officer, I felt like I was naturally counseling without I wasn't a counselor as a probation officer, but I was naturally
Yeah.
doing that with that population. And I felt like I was dealing with 14, 15-year-olds because emotionally that's where they left off when they started using a lot of the time at that age. So I was attracted to that age group because I felt like if I can get to them between middle school and high school,
Yeah.
not that I'm the end all and be all, but if I can help one person at that age group to prevent them to having me as a probation officer, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel
Right.
like that was my purpose, that I was just attracted and still am to that age group.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That, what you said, it hits so hard of, even though they could be men that are 40, women 40, 50 years old, when they first started I feel like their emotional development stops when they
Mm-hmm.
start going into drugs, alcohol, whatever they're abusing at that time, 14, 15 years old. That
Right.
truly is where they are then.
Exactly.
Their emotional awareness, everything like that. Um, that's a really hard place to be at.
It's very hard and difficult for everybody involved.
Right.
And when I interviewed for that job, I was hired, or they accepted me for drug court or for juvenile probation. And it's
Okay.
full circle because I declined juvenile probation. I wanted to give back to drug and alcohol because I was the product of addiction. My dad died of AIDS because he was addicted to heroin. So I was brought up in that era in the 80s when it blew
Yeah.
up. And so I wanted to give back to that community and other kids like me,
Yeah.
and to the parents who had kids, that might have been in my
Yeah.
seat, you know what I mean, and felt the things that I felt, and I could share that with them as
Absolutely.
a child of somebody who suffered from addiction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you start to create that safe space for them to even walk in the room and sit there with you, let alone open up?
Well, you mean as a probation officer or as a school counselor?
I mean, both essentially, because it both has its challenges, an
Right.
adult versus an adolescent.
Well, I asked
What
that
you
because as a
yeah.
probation officer, I have jail to, like threaten
Yeah.
it. Like that's what they see me as. Like you can give
Well,
me
let's
jail
talk about
time.
high school
You know what
counselor
I mean? No, right. So that's why I asked that. Like as who? No. Either way, it was the same. I found both jobs to be very, very similar, almost exactly the same, because you're still
Yeah.
trying to help them be productive citizens of society, right?
Right.
I'm 100% me, and I self-disclose when it's appropriate. I'm raw, and I don't sell them a dream that's unattainable and that's going to cause them to be in debt for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Because we have to be careful with that, with the things that present themselves in the climate that we're in the United States. So,
Absolutely.
my number one thing to anybody that I talk to, outside of work, in work, whatever I do, is that I'm just 100% me, and I'm unapologetically me. And if they don't agree with that, then it is what it is. But I try to be who I am and raw with them and transparent. Transparency is key when you're working with people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I feel like others can see right through that, right? Like, I just try to be as transparent as I can be, so that they see that I truly care.
Yeah. How do you take that? Because I feel, just listening to that explanation, I'm like, oh, as her friend, I've experienced the same exact thing. so, so how do you take that and apply it to your friendships and into the business world too? Really is where we would go with that.
I noticed that in the professional world, I find that some people don't want that. And I had to learn very early on that I'm not everybody's cup of tea.
Mm-hmm.
And my rawness and unapologetically me is not appreciated in every room. But I'm real. And if I don't know the answer to something, I'm going to go find out. But I'm the same way even in my personal relationships.
Right.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
So with the business that you have, because we
Mhm.
talked a little bit about what you do as your 9 to 5.
Right.
How did taking those qualities that you use every single day, how do you take that and how did you start to apply that to your business, or even the thought of starting a business and building that?
The thought of starting a business, doing event planning and decor, was scary, because even though Christina's my business partner, for those that don't know, have been doing that for our personal families for free. as gifting, gifting that just because we love doing it. There's a different sense of pride when you're doing it as a gift than just a transaction, right?
Absolutely.
But when we decided to do that, it was very scary, but at the same time liberating. I never, like Victoria, my husband is an entrepreneur, and I never thought of myself as one. Never. So taking those steps, asking him 1,000 questions all the time about opening and getting your LLC, all that stuff was scary, but it felt so liberating. They were surprised when it was finally done. When I say they, my husband and my son, because they heard me talking about it. But then when they saw my paperwork and I'm showing them my binder, like it was my trophy, they were surprised. It was scary. But I still look at it, and Christina's an educator too, and also school counselor by trade. She has that education too. It was still helping people.
Yeah.
But so it's still helping people with their vision of what they want for their celebration, but it's still helping people in a different way. We just get to use our passion of being in our artistic realm of ourselves. And that's very liberating and freeing to us, because we don't get to do that a lot in our day jobs.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So where did the idea, you said doing events for family and things like that, and then you were like, well, might as well just make money doing it.
Yeah.
Or try to make money, because beginning of businesses aren't that easy. What took that idea or that concept and made it into an actual vision to where you have had some amazing events that you've put on?
So, my neighbor at work that shares the office next to me is Christina's husband. And so we got close. Her and I got close because of him. And he would show me some of the things they did, and she would show me, her parties. Then her and I would work together for different things, like naturally, and help each other. And then he was like, you guys should just do this. Like, you should do this. Right. Well, yeah, whatever. Kind of like, and then her and I would start talking about it, and we're like, okay, well, what if we did do it? Like, well, first we got to establish an LLC, and so that's how that came about. It was just naturally, like, it happened organically. That's how that happened.
It was all in alignment for it. What are some challenges that you feel that you've had, like, in your first two years of business, right? A lot.
First year of business is like getting initiated into a sorority in college. We met twice a week. And when you're a full-time mom, and then, work, wife, trying to do that as well. We did it, and we drank a lot of wine doing it. But
Christina comes with a box of wine wherever she goes. She has showed up many times at the studio with that.
It's fine. It's fine. It's like our women juice. Anyway. It's our protein drink for the day. No, we were me and do all trying to learn, because, when you're in business for yourself, it's definitely different than working for somebody else, because you're in charge of accounting, social media, all of those roles that you have to take on. Was extremely overwhelming. And we did it for a year, like full force. Well, we were comparing ourselves to everybody else in business. But not just everybody else that's starting a business. We're comparing ourselves to, like, top notch.
Who have been in business for 20 years, 10 years,
Like, why aren't we there yet? So we knew how to plan. We knew how to come up with help people come up with visions and all that. But it's the business end of it that was very overwhelming. Not to mention in this stage of life of perimenopause, like, so after our first year, we're like, hold up. Let's reevaluate what we're doing, because we cannot drive ourselves into a mental health facility. We got to protect our mental health, because we still are we're still educators on top of that / counseling.
Right.
Plus all our other roles. Plus wanting to do what we love.
Yeah.
You know, that we love doing that. If we can make our salaries now doing that now, we would.
Yeah.
You know, there's certain circumstances that you can't always just go in head first. But you know what? It's okay.
Yeah.
We had to come to a place where we're like, there's no rules. Like, why are we comparing ourselves to everybody else's top-notch businesses in Lancaster City? You know what I mean? Or Lancaster County. Like, now we decided, you know what? Like, stop, because we were posting every week, multiple times a week,
Yeah.
like taking the fun out of our creative, you know? And now we're just like word of mouth. We're still doing business, but we are now picking, our time is precious.
Right.
So now we're picking what we want to do and when we want to do it while we're still living our lives and not driving ourselves insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And pacing yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because success overnight isn't necessarily a great thing.
Right.
Or the other part of it is when you start to hear from people, you're like, oh my gosh, you just came out of nowhere. Like, did you just come on the scene? And you're like, no, I've been busting my ass for years to get here, actually.
Right.
So it takes time to pace yourself.
Right.
So what are some of like the actual tools that you've used from your professional career and took those and applied it to where you are?
Believe it or not, it's weeding out those people who are serious and not wasting your time. Because there's a lot of that, you know, in your businesses. I'm sure you guys all can, you know.
As in like the people that put up a facade or...
Well, there's people that, you know, when depending on what you do, what your business is, there's people that have questions and you want to answer them, but kind of waste your time and then steal your ideas. And you don't get paid for it. You know what I'm saying? So learning, I think the hardest lesson was learning how to navigate that without wasting our time.
Yeah. Because absolutely, someone could be like, hey, I want to do this event. You know, can you help me pick out the colors and everything? And you draft a whole mood board or whatever for it and hand it over. And then they're like, oh, I could do it myself.
And they have. We learned the hard way like 3 times. Yep. Yeah.
Oh, you touched on a couple things of everything that we have to balance right now.
Yes.
So being a mom, having a full-time job, wanting to also fulfill your dreams with your entrepreneurship, also dealing with perimenopause and all that stuff. How do we open conversations of authenticity when it comes to that?
Literally, as the symptoms grew with perimenopause, I'm just going to be honest and raw with this. I became more forgetful and the brain fog set in, exhaustion. I now blame everything. Instead of on my husband, I blame it on perimenopause. I thank TikTok. I thank TikTok University.
Okay,
for
that's a good
being
place,
a resource, and YouTube for being able to like research some things and listen to other women talk about this. But you'd be surprised the amount of women. I'm 45 years old. You'd be surprised the amount of women that do not know that there's a whole phase of peri and pre menopause.
It lasts 10 years, something like that, I was reading.
My first symptoms started at 38.
Yes.
And kind of like slowly.
It's already started.
It's scary. I had the vitamin guy. That's what I call him at Save Mart. One time tell me, I'm sorry, but you're in perimenopause. As soon as you're in 35 years old, you just started. Thank you. I forget what I was looking for, and I asked him for help, and he started telling me all that. Anyway, but I thank him, and I thank the women now that are not afraid to talk about this on those platforms, because there's a lot of women and friends of mine that will start talking about stuff and they think I'm joking. I'm like 100% serious.
Yeah.
Like, you can't tell me you're not feeling this, girl. Like, you're not sick. You're not dying. This is just perimenopause. There's like hundreds of symptoms, girl.
What else is there?
There's a ton.
Mine's
of
the brain
stuff.
fog. I've dealt
like
with
a
that.
ringing of the ear.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the crazy ones.
Brain fog. See?
That's hard. Well, I had an episode last night. Mimi had to to help me out. And Julie, I had an episode of my first emotional breakdown.
Of the week?
Well, like ever in my life in this area.
Okay. That makes sense.
But no, there's like weird symptoms. I challenge you all to go look them up.
Okay.
Because there's a ton of them. So in case you think you're dying or you have a new symptom and you got cancer or something, it's probably Perry. She's coming for you.
What resources do we have? Just don't treat it like a therapist, please.
Right.
It's going to know too much to use against us one day.
Okay, I was really disturbed. I had a student use it as a therapist, and that was my first encounter with that. Okay. Yeah. I'm like, that's not a real person. And you have me for that.
And it also just mirrors everything you've put into it, too.
God. I was like, I cannot believe these kids are that. They'd rather be that isolated and talk to a robot than
COVID did a lot of weird stuff
for
people, honestly. And it's easier to talk to a computer than a person.
She showed me their whole chat. I was blown away.
Was it the same advice you would give her, though?
It had some really good points. It wasn't the same advice. But it had some good points. I ain't gonna lie. Listen, if you can't afford therapy, there's always AI. There's always help somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Just,
So
it is what it is. I'm here for the people.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. So after you guys had I don't even know what to call it, a pivot moment in
like
taking a step back.
Slowing
down and stuff. How did you start to like redefine that season? Because it doesn't just affect your business. It's also, you slowed down probably in your personal life and your career and stuff like that.
Well, it was just discussing openly like our realities of our career, like our normal day job career and our circumstances personally in each in our lives, and say, noting to ourselves, okay, there doesn't have to be a time frame where we have to be 6-figure women like by year 3. Like, it's good to have goals, but we don't have to have this all figured out right now.
Yeah.
Because we're putting an unrealistic and overwhelming, almost like black cloud over our head. And then what we once loved, I don't want to hate it.
Yeah. You get consumed by it then.
Yes.
And
right. I don't want I to be a slave by it.
Yeah.
So this is how we're working it,
So how do you feel that it did affect other parts too of your life and trickle into that?
If we would have kept going, it would have, because my husband's an entrepreneur and always been an entrepreneur. I have always been the parent that's consistent in our marriage, and it works. It's fine. It works. We have our routines. It works. But I had made a promise years ago, which is why I went into school counseling, to my kids, that after I was done with my master's, I wasn't going to do anything that required me being an entrepreneur or taking any time away from them, as in like being a therapist at night and not being in their lives, whether I was working for somebody else or myself. I didn't want to do that to them. I wanted to be present. So had we continued the way we were, we would have got more business.
Yeah.
So we know how to do it. It's just we didn't want to give that time up. We both have kids in high school that are almost done with high school, but we didn't want to do that to them at this time.
Right. Because you don't have much time until they're fully independent and on their own and everything. So as much as we complain about the comp weekends and stuff, just have to suck it up for a little while longer.
Because it goes so quick, and then we'll wish we had those moments back.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Look, we're in the thick of it, but I'm almost done. You're not.
I'm not. I have 6 more years of this.
Right. Sorry. It goes quick. Believe me. Yep. She
I
always
hope it,
reminds
but
me.
I don't hope it. Do you know what I mean? So now you're having it all, basically.
So when we decided to open up this business, and it's fun, and I love doing it when we have an event we're working on, and we do it the day up. I was kind of saddened because I always wanted to get my license as a licensed professional counselor. So if I wanted to open up my own therapy office, I could at one time after my kids were done with school and all of that. But there was like a saddening because I felt like I was closing the door on that. So when we had to pivot, you were an inspiration for me too. Mimi was an inspiration. A lot of my people in my circles and people that I knew were doing multiple things. It wasn't just one or two things. And it was like seeing other women in my life do multiple things on their own terms doesn't mean that I have to close the door on my personal goal that I've always had since I was in undergrad.
Absolutely not.
So I started, I got a hold of a therapist that has her own practice that I worked with. She was also a school counselor, retired, and now she just does her own private practice. And all these doors started opening. I got a scholarship. I don't have to pay for supervision. I'm under supervision. And I have a 6-year time limit, which is a long time. I'm trying to do it in less than that. But for me to have that license, and I just started the process. Like, why not? Why can't I have it all?
You can. 100%.
So that's the question that, you
just have to define the terms around having it all.
But I noticed that I was limiting myself as solely as a parent, being mom, being a wife, and a school counselor. Like, those were my roles. So as I started to explore other things, as my kids started to get older and end high school, and as they're starting to become young adults, I had to remember me and what my original goals were and what desires I still have in my heart that are still like, kind of nudging me that they're still there, and I'm still me besides being mom and wife and
absolutely
and my day job.
And the fact that you made one phone call and then all of a sudden all the doors just opened for you. If that's not alignment, I don't know what is then.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
And dreams that I thought were not gone. Yeah. Because I know I always had passion to help people, but I didn't start to think about them again as new opportunities presented themselves. And my youngest is entering her last year of school. And as she started to get older and have more of her own life, then I started to remember the me that I am by myself, my individual self. So,
who's amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Seriously.
Thank you. I don't always feel that way, but thank you.
None of
I
us
try.
do, honestly.
Right?
But it's surrounding ourselves with other women that see that within us and encourage us to do it. So it just reinstills that
and talking
belief in
with
ourselves.
You ladies, like getting to know other people and what their story is and their walk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Really helps.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you for
being my friend.
You're welcome.
And collaborative too.
And she's always challenging me, guys. She's always like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do? And I'm like, I didn't think about that. Okay, let's do it.
Because I see you from a different perspective than you see yourself.
Yeah. Thank you.
People, I mean, most people do, right?
Yeah.
Like to me, I look at everyone that sits here, figuratively, as someone I aspire to be. There is something in every single one of you that I'm like, oh, wow, I love that. Like, I want to learn more about that part of them. I want them to share that part of them because I think that's incredible.
Well, I just want to say this. This is how I got to know Santina. Listen, I'm a dancer. I've been a dancer all my life. But I started going to Crunch, and I went to her class, her Zumba class, and I became addicted to her personality. And I was like, she's so cool. I want to be her friend. I just want to know her. And then she left Crunch, and I was like, and I still wasn't like as like, but
and I'm over here like, people want to be my friend? What?
Yes, that's how. And doors started opening for her business-wise. We started collaborating on things together, and we got to really know each other through that process. And it's amazing. And I say yes to everything she does because her intention is always to help others.
It is. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes.
Oh my God. I love you.
All right, I'm out.
Yeah.